Begin. So on your back, constructive rest, or another way of saying that is half shavasana or corpse pose, or just simply on your back with your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. So again here, propping if you need to. If you find your chin is way up above your forehead, something behind your head can feel good here. And then even in the pelvis, if this doesn't feel great for your back, you can elevate your pelvis and that might be more comfortable. But we're not going to spend too much time here, so move your arms away from your torso, turn the palms up, sort of shuffle your body to allow your shoulder blades to lie flat, get out any wiggles or kind of fidgets that you need to, and close your mouth, relax your throat, relax the muscles of your face, and then try as much as possible throughout the whole practice, try to breathe through your nose. We'll do 3 or 4 breaths together. So as you inhale, let the inhale start low in the pelvis, feel it all around, back, sides, front, and then it'll move up into your rib cage, feel the ribs flare and expand out to the front, the sides, and the back again. Chest will rise, and then exhale, release. Go at your own rhythm. So I'm talking you through it or guiding you through it, but you breathe the way your body wants to be breathed. And sometimes there's this misconception in yoga, and certainly some breath practices might take you through that. But a deep breath is not necessarily a better breath. So just take in as much air as you need. So one more, inhaling, starting in the abdomen, filling up the rib cage, and then exhaling, relaxing completely. So then just feel your feet on your mat. You can even look at them if you need. Try to get the toes and the heels aligned, and then press into them and feel the muscles of your legs wake up a little bit. Then keep a little bit of that engagement in the legs, and then try to keep the upper body, the head, the shoulders, the rib cage still as we mobilize the pelvis. So I'm going to exhale, and I'm going to tilt my pelvis back, so my bum's lifting, but I'm not lifting my pelvis up. And then I'm flattening the low back against the ground. And then I'm going to inhale, my belly rises all around my spine, kind of pressurizes, and then I increase that curve in the low back. See if you can see that there. So exhale, where you get that tension anyway, or that engagement in the core. We go here, and then we feel that co-contraction in the glutes. And inhaling, lifting, but you don't want anything happening too much in the upper body. So try to really isolate the movement in your pelvis. So let's do one more like that. Great. Now finish on the exhale position, so the pelvis tilted back. You'll feel your abs contracting. Same with the glutes, as I mentioned before. Press into the feet a little bit more, and then continue tilting the pelvis back as you lift the bum off the floor and slowly peel one vertebra at a time off. As you get to the top, make sure that you're not lifting and extending in the spine. Drop the low ribs down, and then just get the extension here. So feel like you've got a straight line between the knees and the points of the hips here, the ASIS, the front of your pelvis. Hold that there. Pull your heels towards your head. You'll feel the hamstrings light up a little bit more. Drop those ribs down, and then come back the same way we came up. So I'm putting down my mid-spine, and then keeping my pelvis tilted back as I touch the lumbar spine or the lower spine now. We'll do that one more time. Tilt the pelvis back, and then slowly rolling up. I can use my hands here for support. Your arms can be up. Remembering we want the extension in the hips, not the spine. Hold it at the top. You can even lift your toes. Feel a little bit more engagement in the legs, and then lower the feet, and then slowly lower back down. So from here you can draw one knee in to the chest, and then just rock from side to side. Still breathing. So try to keep that conscious awareness of your breath. Again, not a bigger breath, but just an awareness of breath throughout the whole practice. Next, arms are going to open into a kind of a T shape, palms down for a little bit of anchoring. And then as we lower to the right, hover, and then come back up. So try to pair your breath with this. So you decide what you'd like to do. So let's start exhale to the side, and then inhale to come back to center. Exhale down, and inhale up. Next, switch it around to see how it changes the movement for you. So inhale down, and exhale as you come back up. And notice what felt better for you, or maybe there's no real difference. One more time, each side. Okay, next, with the knees still bent, we're going to hold on to opposite shoulders, and elbows are going to point up. And then we're going to work on dissociating the pelvic girdle from the shoulder girdle. So when you walk, when you run, this is what you want happening. So the knees are going to dip towards the right as I lift the right shoulder up and move my elbows towards the left. You'll feel the sides of your torso light up, your obliques, and then the opposite. So it's a little bit of engagement through the core. Try to keep your head relaxed and down. And you decide how far you want to go. It could be a little micro movement, or it could be a little bit more of a twist. So we're getting some mobilization to happen in the thoracic spine at the same time. So this is a movement that's sort of intuitive to humans, but when we sit at desks for too long and are sedentary, sometimes our bodies forget how to do it naturally. But this is sort of a dissociative pattern that should happen naturally as we walk and as we run and also practice lots of different sports. Great. You can relax down, take a moment, and then the next one is really connecting to that, so the right side to the left side, upper body to lower body. So dead bug position would be this, so arms extended up to the ceiling, and then push your thighs away a little bit from your belly so you feel a little bit of the engagement happening in your low belly. So here you can decide to tilt the pelvis back and flatten the low back to the ground, or just keep a neutral spine, but keep control of it and make sure that you're not overextending. So I'm going to press the right heel of the hand to the left thigh, and I'm going to make a thumbs up with the left hand, flex my feet, and then keeping the constant pressure of my right hand on my left thigh, I'm going to keep the shape of my right leg, drop the heel down as I tap the thumb down, and come back up. We'll go 5 times. So notice how applying that cross-body pressure wakes everything up a little bit more into that core. I think that's 5. And then switch sides with thumbs up with the right hand, heel of the left hand comes to the right thigh. Keep that pressure constant, and then touch the heel and the thumb, and then back up. And then if this is really difficult, you look at the thumbs up and you say, I'm doing it, this is great. So notice what's happening with your breath, how you're marrying the movement with your breath. Let's do one more. And relax. Open up your feet wide, your arms too, and just let the knees drop side to side. And then we're going to roll over to our bellies. So from your belly, we're going to look to find that same cross connection. So I'm going to be prone. So you can start off with the forehead on the hands. And then I'm going to scoot up so that you can see what my legs are doing a little bit better. So press the front of the pelvis into the ground, squeeze the bum, and then keep that, and you don't want your pelvis to shift side to side throughout these movements. So let's start with the right leg. I'm just going to lift up into extension. So I don't want to borrow the movement from my low back. The movements, you should feel the hamstrings and the glutes light up here. And then you can even move the leg out to the side a little bit to get a little bit more external rotation, which will really fire up that glute, and then put that back down and other side. So posterior tilt, you should feel the belly lifting off the ground as the front of the pelvis presses into the mat. Lift up again. Don't let your pelvis roll off to the side. And then open that leg out, externally rotate it to the side a little bit. Feel that glute really light up. And put it back down. Now knees will stay down here, pelvis is still pressing, front of the pelvis is still pressing down on the mat. And then just do a little bit of some knee flexion here, just to talk to the hamstrings specifically. So do something with your foot. So you can point your foot, you can flex your foot, but do something with your foot. And activating your foot, we're speaking to the muscles further up the chain. So let's do a couple more. And then we're going to combine those two movements. So I'm going to lift into hip extension here without tilting my pelvis or letting it drop off to the side. Flex the foot and then pull the heel into the bum. Keep it lifted and then pull it in. Let's do one more. Straighten and relax. So extend the hip. Keep the front of the pelvis actively pushing into the mat. Flex the foot or point the foot. You decide, do this side pointed. And you can also vary it up. You see what works for you, what feels the best, or maybe what turns things on a little bit better. One more and then relax. Okay, next, right arm is going to come alongside my body, palm facing down. Then I'm going to lift up that shoulder into extension, so the arms lifting up, palms facing down, and then I can add a little bit of extension to my spine as I use a left hand to help me lift up, and then relax. Let's do that 2 more times. So you should feel the back of the shoulder, the tricep, the back of the arm, hopefully a little bit in the lats too, the big muscle alongside the spine, and then switch sides. So forehead resting against the back of the right hand, and then I'm going to lift up. So careful not to twist in the arm, and then I can just keep doing this, or you can add a little bit of extension and get a little bit of help from the right arm as you push up. Let's do one more. Good, push back. And then from all fours, you're going to tuck the toes, come back, and come into your version of downward facing dog. So your version will not look like my version, and it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. If you find yourself really rounded in your spine, bend into the knees, reach the bottom of the pelvis up, and let the head and the neck relax. You can even say yes, no here. Good, and then we're going to walk the hands back towards the feet. Relax the head, chin to chest, press into the feet, bend the knees a bit more, and then press into the feet as you slowly roll up to standing. Okay, from our standing position, we're again looking to connect the dots with that cross body, that contralateral movement. So from here, arms are just going to be out to the side, or relax down by your sides. Transfer the weight to your left foot, and then lift that right knee up. So active hip flexion. Careful as you're lifting it up, you're not leaning back. So keeping a stacked body. Lifting up here, you can always go to a couch or a wall if you're unstable here. And then relax it back down. Transfer the weight to the right foot and the right leg. And then lifting the left knee up. Again, comparing which side you have more active range. Release the foot. Next, if we shift our center of gravity up, same thing, shift the weight to the left side and lift the right knee up. How does that change it for you? You might get more range, but it's a more difficult maneuver because we've lengthened our lever and we've shifted our center of mass up. The other side. Good, and relax down. Next, that same cross-body connection that we did in our dead bugs, we're going to do here. So weight into the left foot, lift the right knee up, and now press. Again, try not to slump or shift your posture. Press that left heel of your hand into the right thigh. Again, do something with your foot. Press here. Feel the hip flexors light up and the core, and release. Same thing the other side. Shift the weight into the right foot. Right hand into left thigh. Point my foot here for a little bit of variety. I think I prefer the flexed foot. So notice what your preference is and change it. Good. Next, keeping a stacked body. So you want to keep the knees parallel. Try to squeeze the heel again. Point the foot, flex the foot, squeeze the heel into the bum. Rotate your pelvis back or tilt your pelvis back. Tendency is to do this. So you want to avoid that. Tilt the pelvis posteriorly and then squeeze. And then switch sides. If you have a mirror or an honest child nearby, they will tell you which side is better. You will have asymmetry in your body, that's fine, but just notice it. Store it somewhere. Oh, we don't need to have a cramp there. Okay, one more time on that side. And can you reach back and maybe give that a little bit of a tap and pressure, pushing the right foot into the left hand. And then opposite side, tilt the pelvis back. Knee flexion, pull the heel in to the bum. Try not to arch your spine too much. Find the foot. That's part of the challenge, is mapping your brain as well as your body. Press the hand into the heel. Whew. It's pretty good. Okay, rolling back down. So same way we came up, we're going to do it down. So soften the knees, stack body, chin to chest, slump over, and try to gently roll down. Getting down to the ground, come back to our down dog. Now in your down dog, you can start to pedal the feet, getting a little bit more of a stretch along the lateral line and the posterior chain. Go. And then come into our quadruped position. So because we're going to be loading up the body here from these 4 points of contact, we want to prep the wrists. So from a quadruped position, you can double up your mat, padding underneath your knees. But we also want to prep the wrists for extension, because that's where we are right now. So walk the hands a little bit closer to the knees. And we're going to start just with some finger push-ups or palm lifts. So the thumbs lift up, elbows stay straight, and lift the palms up. So we're speaking to the flexors here of the wrists. And now rotate the palms out and do the same thing. Elbows stay straight, stacked in the wrists and the elbows and the shoulders. Lift the thumbs and then lift the palms. And notice how the angle change might affect the work or the demands on your body. Whew. Shake it out a little bit. And then, getting a little bit more into our passive extension, spread the fingers, press into the pads of each finger, and try to dome your palm. That creates a little bit of space in the wrist, making that active hand mimic the arch in your foot, which we so desperately need for the function of the rest of the body. Okay, now moving from passive, sit the pelvis back to the heels, keeping the elbows straight. Now lift the hands up. So this is your active wrist extension. Do that a couple times. Rock forward into the passive range, and then rock back, lift the hands up. Notice what weird compensations or facial expressions you might be making. Okay, one more time. Great. Whew, sit back on your heels. Shake the wrists and the arms out. Take a breath. Remembering here that throughout this next sequence, whenever something doesn't feel good, feel free to take a pass or to join back up again if you need a rest. So cross pattern lift. So Keeping the spine neutral, I'm going to lift the right hand and the left knee. Doesn't have to be a huge lift, almost like someone's going to just slip a piece of paper underneath, and then try not to let your pelvis or your spine change throughout the movement. And then opposite side, left hand lifts, right knee lifts. Let's do that one more time. Right, 2 more times. Great, and now that same cross pattern that we've done now, supine on our backs, standing, and now quadruped position. Left knee or left thigh comes in and offers resistance to the right heel of my hand. Press into it, activate all around your spine, and then extend, lift up. Again, not borrowing from the spine, keeping my spine neutral. We want everything happening in the hip here. Press in, pause, and extend. One more time. Pressing in, the spine will flex just a little bit. Feel that contraction. Good. Watch what's happening with the neck there. Make sure you're not cranking the neck forward. Keep a little bit of that attractive double chin to keep the back of the neck long. Same thing for the other side. Right thigh, left heel of the hand, press in, and then release the pressure and extend. Reach long with the fingertips and the heel. Press in again. Are you breathing? One more time. I hope you're breathing. Try to breathe through your nose. Great. Okay, so keeping again the pelvis neutral, right leg is going to lift up, straighten, and then pull that heel into the bum. A couple more times here. So again, that same hip extension paired with the knee flexion, and back down. Lift up again, straight left leg, pull the heel into the bum. This is hard work. Okay, now pairing the arms and the legs. So find that flex position, get the extension of the hip, and I'm going to lift the opposite limb, or the arm from the foot. Palm's going to be up. I'm going to pulse the foot up as I lift the palm up. Do that 3 times. Lift. Really feel the back of that leg lighting up. Let's do it one more time. Careful that you're not sinking down, so push the ground away. Keep an integrated spine throughout, and release. Okay, last thing before we move on to something else, I promise. So again, the arm, so right arm comes up, coming into shoulder extension. Flex that left leg. Flex the foot as well, like you're trying to push the foot up to the ceiling. Push the foot up as the palm presses up to the ceiling as well. So for 3 times, 2 more. 1 more. And relax. Okay, last thing is putting it all together like we did. So mapping the brain and mapping the body. So palm lifts up, heel lifts up. Can I find that connection? And maybe you can, maybe you can't. And that's okay. If you can, press into it, come back down, switch sides, lift up. Found the left foot. Sometimes I don't. Again, careful what's happening with the rib cage. Lift the back ribs up towards the ceiling and press. Last time. So if this isn't possible for you, just again press the palm up and the foot up. If you can find it, great. But if you can't, we're doing the same work. Terrific. Okay, from here, heels back, or pelvis back to heels. Stack the hands and just take a minute. Find your breath. Breathe into the back ribs. And hopefully your heart rate's elevated. I know mine is. Okay, we're going to come to a tall kneel. I'll stay side on so you can see me. So again, we're stacked now. Talking about a stacked position in our Tadasana, our standing position, but you can find the same setup here. So knees, hips, shoulders, skull, or rib cage, skull. Keep that there. And then imagine that somebody's pressing back into the crease of the hips, From sacrum to skull, so bottom of my spine is flat bone that joins the back of my pelvis, all the way up to my skull. My spine will not change shape. And I'm going to hinge, so the front of my hips move back. I'm going to hinge down and hinge back up. So you should feel hopefully some activation happening at the back. And I find it useful to press my fingertips back as I come forward. So you could be jokingly saying to whoever is preparing you lunch, you're bowing down before them. Could be sarcastic or not. One more time. Great. Now, that same stacked position, pelvis even tilting back into that posterior tilt where you feel the bum engaged a little bit more, hands to hips, and then can we find, you can double up under your knees if this is, you have a little bit of discomfort on the outside of your knees. Try to lift and pull that heel towards your hamstring. Alternate. So we're getting that contraction of the hamstrings from different angles. This one's quite difficult. Next, can we reach back? Find that connection. And if not, if it feels cranky in your back, you just keep going with the knee extension. Where's my left foot? There it is. I found it. So you notice which side is easier. So next, keeping that same shape, imagine you're reaching out and you're grabbing a broomstick or a dowel and feel your shoulder blades slide to the outside of your upper back. And even do the imaginary grasp and imagine that you're trying to break it apart. So keep that engagement in the arms, pelvis tilts back, squeeze the bum, and then we're going to keep that shape as you come back. So only going as far as you can come out of it again. So it could be a little mini guide. So strengthening our quads here in the eccentric portion or phase. So the muscle's lengthening and we're working it. So let's do one more. And made it. Okay. Last thing in our tall kneel, shift the weight over to the left hand side, so the left knee. You can tuck your toes to give you a little bit more space, or you can come next to something to give you a little bit more support. Shift that weight over and try to hover that leg. So that's difficult enough. And now, still hovering, can we offer baby resistance with the opposite hand? The foot has to come down, that's okay. Come up to your tiptoes, offer that resistance, and then just try to lift up that foot ever so briefly, or maybe it floats up for a little bit longer. And back with control. And then shift to the other side, so weight shifts over to the right shin and the right knee. Again, pat under that knee if you need, and then try to lift that knee up. Arms can do whatever you want here. You can grab onto something for dear life if you need to. So again, with control. That leg comes forward. So you want to fix your gaze on something, and that will help you find that center. Come to the tiptoes, offer resistance, and then from here, can we lift up? Ever so briefly. Maybe extending the time that we're floating that foot off the ground. And then with resistance. Speaking of resistance, there might be an uprising if I keep this going for too much longer. So float that back. And just relax again. So you can just come to sit, take a breather on your heels, or come to your version of child's pose, or any pose where you can catch your breath. Okay, coming back into our crawl or quadruped position, we're going to tuck the toes and that same shoulder blade position that I talked about in our reverse Nordic curl that we just did. So you're protracting them, you're moving them to the outside of your upper back, away from your spine. Keep the hands active and the elbows straight, and then just lift the knees up. Again, not too high, but almost imperceptibly. So you'll notice here how much more demand this puts on your body. And now, from here, you can stick with that and come down and keep moving up and in it, or we can layer on. So the same thing we did from our hand and knee crawl, our hand and foot crawl, lift the foot, lift the hand. Again, trying to shift too much in the pelvis. So we can just go back to what we were doing before, if this is too difficult, or if this bothers the wrists. And now, the last layer here in our crawl is that cross-body connection. Hand to thigh. Still breathing through your nose. Let's do one more on each side. Notice my bum's crept up a little bit, so try to stay as low to the ground as possible. And come down. Great. Okay, from here, can we take our crawl for a walk? So this is the true sort of contralateral pattern. You see it in babies, and it's something that we lose as we age, and it should be something that we practice often. So it can be a hand and knee crawl. So as my right hand moves, as does my left knee, and then opposite. So just go 2 or 3 forward and back. So it could be the hand and knee crawl, or you can come from that same crawl position with the knees elevated and right hand, left foot. So small movements, but controlled movements that are really tying together those muscles that move from your right shoulder into the inside of your left thigh, and also from your left glute connecting up to the opposite shoulder. Whew. It's getting my heart rate up for sure. Okay, so from here, come down to our prone position one last time, and we're going to put the pieces together from here. So palms will face up, so internally rotated. Forehead's on the ground, front of the pelvis is anchored to the ground, making that really attractive double chin to lengthen the back of my neck. And then I'm going to draw the right heel to my bum, and then I'm going to press that foot up to the ceiling, so coming into hip extension, not letting my pelvis tilt as my left hand or palm reaches to the ceiling. Release down. Let's do that 2 more times. And when you're up here, hold, press up, and release down. Then other side, heel to bum, front of the pelvis pushes down, foot comes up, and then the opposite hand presses up, and then pulse. Awesome, and then shift to the other side. So it's going to be my right leg and my left arm. I'm going to place the forearm of my right forearm on the ground, and as I press up, I'm going to get a little bit more extension, and I'm going to help myself get there by pressing the right hand down. And then, can you find that connection? So can you relax down, press up, and try to find that connection of the feet, and then switch sides. So double chin, slight back bend, bend into the left leg, press the hand up, press the foot up, and then can we find that connection? My left foot's always a bit of a struggle. There it is. And if you can't get there, starting to talk to your low back, then you just stick with the lift. If you want to sort of put the pieces together, tap that hand to that heel. Stack both hands, rest your forehead on your hands and sort of shake your bum, or let your pelvis go from side to side. Now, hands underneath shoulders, press back. And then we're going to tuck the toes. And we're going to press up into our down dog. So, down dog is just another opportunity here with our 4 points of contact to move in that contralateral fashion. So can we do our lifts? So it could look like this. You could be on your toes, knees bent. That's fine, but we have the pelvis reaching up high to the sky, contrary to what we were doing in our crawl. So weight into my left hand and my right foot, lift the opposite limbs. So left foot lifts, right hand lifts, and then switch sides. A couple of times. And then, can we take our down dog for a bit of a walk? So come to the back of your mat, keeping that uppercase A shape, so the back of the pelvis keeps reaching up towards the sky. As my right hand and my left foot walk forward, then I switch, left hand, right foot. Keep that neck relaxed, the gaze can be between the feet, and then reverse. Same thing, opposite hand, opposite foot. These are called bear walks or taking your down dog for a walk. Now walk your hands back, we're going to roll up. One last time, soften the knees, release the head, press into the feet. Slowly rolling up. I'm off screen here, which is great. Hopefully you can still hear my instructions. And now we're going to piece it all together from a standing position. So I talked at the beginning, walking, running is sort of our natural, intuitive way with that reciprocal movement or that contralateral cross connection. So take the weight into your left foot, and then as the left arm swings forward, as does the right foot. And then it reaches back, and the right arm comes forward, and then we come here. So your arms are swinging, and we're just swinging the right leg forward and back. And if this is comfortable, don't overthink it. As I said before, it should be kind of an intuitive movement, and you can try to quicken the pace. Good. Switch sides. So weight into the right foot, keeping that stacked position. Left leg reaches forward, as does my right arm, and then it swings back and forward. So we can just be here, or you could have this hand on the wall and just working with the right hand and the left leg, or we can get a little bit more dynamic and quick with it. Again, don't overthink it. It's a natural movement, good human movement to reconnect to. Okay, next layer, so switch back, so we're bearing load into that left leg. We're going to go from this movement, come side on so you can see me. So left hand comes forward, as does the right leg, and then soften that left leg a little bit, or the knee, and then as it comes down, I'm going to hinge forward into kind of a warrior 3 position. So I'm hinging into that left hip as I reach the right leg back behind me, and then arms are doing the same thing, left arm forward, right leg forward. So controlled, but can we also make it a little bit dynamic? Good. And then the last layer, still sticking with the same side. I know that left leg's starting to talk to you a little bit. As you come into this version of Warrior 3, bend into that front knee a little bit, reach back, come into a lunge. Reach forward, and then connect back, left leg, or left arm, right leg. One more time. Here, reach forward, counterbalance with that right arm as the left or right foot comes down. Arms can come up, pelvis comes down, feel the stretch at the front of the thigh. shift the weight forward, lift up, and then end with that cross-body connection. Change sides. A couple minutes left. This will be the last thing. So really putting together all the movements that we've done on our backs, on our bellies, on all fours, and now finally this standing functional movement. So from here, and then hinging. From here, again, so nothing in the hinge, face you this way, nothing in the hinge means changing the shape from the crown of your head to your tailbone. So the movement's really happening in that right hip, and it can be a baby lift to a baby hinge, but you're still doing the movement. So you decide what works for you. So now we'll layer on, so into our hinge, reach forward, soft landing of that back leg, into a lunge, tilt your pelvis back, nothing in that lower back, weight forward, into that version of our warrior 3, for any yogis out there, and then leg reaches forward. Let's do that one more time. So arms swing, leg reaches back, soft landing of the left ball of the foot, come into our lunge, reach forward, load into that front leg, lift off, or baby lift off wherever you are, and then end with that cross-body connection. Good job. I know I'm breathing hard. Cheat a little bit. I was talking, but I was breathing through my mouth. Notice what happened to your breathing as your heart rate increased and as your breathing, your respiration rate increased. Did you shift to your mouth? Just notice it. Can you do it through your nose? So we're going to end just with some prone breathing, which is just a fancy way of saying breathing on your belly. Sometimes it's called crocodile breath. So that same position that we were in earlier, forehead resting on hands. Shake your pelvis from side to side, release your legs. Release all the contraction that we were seeking in all of those simple and complex movements. And just rest here. So again, breathing in through your nose, 360-degree breath all around your spine. Feel the back of the right shoulder into that left glute. And then your anterior oblique sling resting on the ground, connecting from that left pec or chest muscle down to the inside of that right thigh. Use your heartbeat as your metronome here. Just noticing your heart rate, noticing your breath, and give yourself permission to relax completely. So you can even say, I allow myself to relax completely. Sometimes stating it as an intention, or sankalpa as they say in yoga, can really help the body come along for the ride. Let's take one more breath, really focusing on the expansion of the ribs at the back, and feeling the pressure even in the low back as it's inflated with breath.